Act 3, Revision 11, Kavaron That Is. Tan, do you ever get the feeling that something really, really good is about to happen? I'm not sure I can answer that question without violating human taboos. Tan is flying the Surima. I need overthrust authority. Sami gave Tan's seat overthrust authority 10 minutes ago. No, not like that. I mean, a feeling, like a premonition, that our fortunes are looking up. Oh, Tan says, thoughtfully, like the opposite of anxiety. Hold on. The ship screams, "Proximity!" The Surima explodes sideways, jittering to starboard, then explodes back to port in an equal and opposite moment of violence. Sami bounces against the straps, hooting in delight. 1,000 gigaton piece of a shattered planet, 7 kilometers across and tumbling, flashes past the Surima at 9 kilometers per second. Its closest approach is about 2 kilometers. If it had tumbled differently, it would have hit them. Except for the constant clatter of the Surima's plasma magnet, the silence of the passage is absolute and obscene, like a sniper putting a bullet the size of a mountain right past your ear, and you only notice when your friend shouts, "Mountain!" A shrieking, wailing, sobbing alarm erupts from the Surima's flight computer, begging the fools flying it to make better choices. Sami knifes the master alarm reset up and down with a deeply satisfying snick-snick. It feels like the operating of a guillotine, decapitating the danger. It's great. Sami does it again. The Surima plunges stern first through the Mordrain ring, toward Kavaron That Is and a stasis cask to hold their prize. The great thing about the Mordring, Sami tells Tan, is that it is mathematically impossible to figure out where these giant rocks are going to go without a computer the size of Sothera. You like explaining things that I already know. It's not about what you know, Tan. It's about what the facts make me feel. I like thinking about how the laws of the universe are set up to protect scoundrels. It would be a shame if someone turned Sothera into a giant black hole computer, Tan says. It'd put all us ring-running outlaws out of business. Oh, Sami says. Yeah, good point. The radio fuzzes back into reception, temporarily clear of the big rock's noise. Surima, KMNTRAC. This is pronounced Cayman Track, and it is the voice of the Kavaron Memorial Navy Controller that's assigned to guide them in. You are off track. Emergency pounces you. Thump down? The Kav don't use Vise to run their flight control. Whoever's got the bad luck to talk the Surima into a landing she will never make is a proper living Kav, and one who hasn't had much practice speaking linguolabial Cymer either. Humans think it's funny when people try to speak their language. It's like a baby, maybe. Is that why Sami thinks it's funny? Because the Kav on the radio sounds like a giant baby? Tan, do you think humans only find things funny in ways that ultimately tie back to our evolutionary needs? Tan chuff coughs into the microphone, one of those Kav noises Sami always finds themselves mimicking in the shower, and belts out a string of Kav pilot cant which Sami can roughly follow. Listen, we're fine, but we're doing something we shouldn't, and I'd appreciate it if you just lost track of us. If we die, we die. Not your trouble. Wake crime and we kill your relatives, the voice on the radio says, marking you beyond help. Worst of luck, robbers. Out. That's us, Sami says. Halfway home to the metal man with Sigma's stolen doom in our hold and way beyond help. And who'd know better than a Kav, Tan? Who'd know better? They spin a camera to admire the view. The Surima plunges stern first towards Kavaron. But Kavaron isn't there anymore. Kavaron, too, is beyond help. The ruin tore the planet in twain. Kavaron before is still almost half a proper planet. It has an atmosphere, solid terrain, and a cycle of day and night. If not for the Mordring overhead, the constant white scratches of meteorites in the sky, and the nearly as constant flash of lasers boosting the debris into higher orbit, you could fool yourself into thinking you were on an ordinary planet, orbiting a dead star. Kavaron That Is, though, it's the true Kavaron, the broken Kavaron. Every day a little more of Kavaron before crumbles away and joins its opposite. It's fate. Kavaron That Is, that's the missing half of the planet. It didn't get blasted away into space, because for all the power of the ruin, it takes a lot to divorce the pieces of a planet from each other. It's a loose pile of rubble, slowly being crushed down under its own gravity, then bouncing back as provinces of rich uranium and moxide collapse and exploded. Chthonic nuclear weapons with yields capable of lofting entire moons into orbit. During the ruin, the fire of the planet's broken core flashed up through all the cracks and lifted entire subcontinents into the heavens. They crash back down still. The planet's defensive lasers, the guns of Cavaron, keep those world-ending chunks from crashing on Kavaron before, so they crash on Kavaron That Is instead. It is a pitted moonscape with a hurricane sky, a shattered vault of wonders. What happens if you take Sothera's richest world, crack it in half, and mark the other half off limits for mining? You still have Sothera's richest world. If this were a movie, or a dynamation, the sky outside would be a slow crash of enormous rock, glaciers of stone shattering themselves into lavishly rendered dust. But all those collisions finished decades ago, and they were never slow and dusty. A mountain striking a mountain at orbital velocity looks like two bullets kissing. Rock flows like molten glass at those energies. The surviving debris in Sothera's orbit has been winnowed down to a series of almost structured waves, groups of co-moving kinetic barracudas, ropes and walls of rock. When you look into the Mordrain Ring, you see ranks and ranks of twinkling stars marching rapidly to war. And where they collide, there isn't dust. There's shrapnel. White star bullets spreading until they hit atmosphere and become a long scratch of extinction. You might think Cavaron, shattered, would freeze. All that dust thrown up into the sky, blocking out the light, and Sothera dead too. But Cavaron's atmosphere is constantly heated to a tropical sweat by the burn-up of re-entering debris. Leave it to the Cav to live on a world heated by the constant discharge of orbital shotguns into its own face. And if you're a scoundrel like Sami, that heat is always welcome, because nobody can track you through the Mordring. You get shuffled back into the deck. Nobody can follow you here. Hey, Tan says, tremendously relaxed. Just so you know, there's a fighter following us.
What?
Sami screeches. A Hoplite Warmaker following us down. Is this the really good thing that was about to happen?
Sunstar, shit!
And there's another ship chasing the Hoplite.
Monoists, Sami guesses. Are they mad enough to risk the guns?
Nope. Pale Star. Free Company patrol ship.
The thing buried in Sami's chest wakes up. That good feeling goes away. Sigma's reach was like this, wasn't it? Before they landed? There was a pale star, but it didn't detect them. It didn't launch its hoplites to pursue them. They got down and got away clean. They must have launched the hoplite to check us out.
No, Tan says. They're trying to shoot it down.
What?
The Pale Star is firing lasers at the hoplite.
The Free Company is trying to shoot down their own fighter?
Tan coughs, and in a gesture of infinite relaxation, takes both hands off the control to tug his hair horn. Looks like we're not the only ones trying to get down to Cavaron to escape our troubles. Sami calls up one of the Surima's spare beacons from storage and loads it into the sling, the ship's general-purpose mass driver. This particular beacon has a demolition charge in place of its transmitter. They pick out an incoming rock. I'm gonna blow that chunk into its buddy. You ready? You're gonna blow chunks, all right, Tan says. Brace for erratic overthrust.
Oh, I should brace. I was born to space. You sure that you can handle it?
I was born to handle it.
No, you weren't. You just say that because I laugh.
Correction. I was trained for years as a Cavaron Memorial Navy pilot to navigate the Mordrain Ring and do battle with the wildcats and raiders who come to pillage the ruins of my homeworld. I was not born to handle it. I was extensively conditioned and practiced. Shot out, Sami calls.
Tan relaxes.
The target rock is coming nearly straight at them. The beacon nails it, and the explosives go off fast enough that the sheer speed of the collision doesn't have time to crush them into uselessness. The rock exhales blasted slag, jets off its track, and collides with its neighbor. Both ruined rocks shotgun to the Surima's vector like razor octopi. Sami, slouched in their restraints, starts knifing the master alarm override up and down once a second. Tan, watching the radar display with one eye and the ship's vector display with the other, flies them through the glittering blast. Human reaction time to a touch stimulus is 150 milliseconds. Cav can break the 20 millisecond barrier when avoiding oncoming objects, and Tan really has trained his whole life to do this. Their closure velocity is 15 kilometers per second. The Surima falling out of space at 7 kps, the debris orbiting in the opposite direction at 8. Tan can afford to notice debris that's 15 kilometers and 1 second away from killing them, then spend 40 milliseconds steering them out of the way, and still have 24 spare perceive-react cycles to clean up any problems. Sami would get 4. Maybe. "I love you, man," Sami says. "I'm Tan the man," Tan says. "Let's not get cute about it." "I'm not cute. I'm the man." They lose track of the hoplite behind them as they make re-entry. "Altitude 120 kilometers, Tan reports. Re-entry interface. Velocity 6 kps and falling. Approaching max heating. Plasma magnet steady." Sami exhales hard. They decelerate past a tower of volcanic clouds. Uranium and moxide blown up from deep within the dying planet ionize the surrounding air and spawn constant purple lightning. "Okay," Tan pushes back from the controls. "We are in Kavaron deep atmosphere. Radiators deployed in airfoil. You have the ship." "I have the ship." "Told you I'd fly her down to Cavaron," Tan says, with perhaps a whiff of pride. "Mordring and all." "Start looking for your old cache. Do you need to transmit?" "Yeah, my old KMN recognition howl. The cache should call us back and tell us if the stasis cask is still intact." The problem with caching things on Kavaron That Is comes from the fact that it's constantly falling apart and exploding, so caches tend to move. The atmosphere is also dire for signals, but it helps to have a fission reactor powering your transmitter. "Howl return," Tan says softly. "Our cache calling back?" "No. There's someone else down there." Sami looks up from the situation display. "Who?" "Memorial team. The KMN's Tomb Guardians. They might be headed for the same old cache as us." Sami looks over carefully. You can't look too directly at a frightened Kav. It makes them feel like they're trying to hide and failing. Tan lolls, boneless in his restraints. The return signal wails on the cockpit speakers. "Tan, do they know it's you?" "Yes," Tan says. "They do." "Oh." They get a return from the cache itself a moment later. Sami hits the weather lidar one last time, grimaces at the result, then cuts the Surima into a low bank south and west. Ghosts of Kavaron's old provinces race beneath them, transfigured by ruin. Names Sami really should learn, out of respect. The Surima's inspectral telescope sets off a whole potlatch of alarms. Something bright and hot plunges down from space. "Mord," Tan swears. "The hoplite, it's coming in!" A pillar of fire bursts out of the volcanic clouds behind them. The Surima's display is painted a hideous poison violet. It's a hypersonic shock of plasma, an unnatural intrusion. A spacecraft firing its fusion engine in the atmosphere. The result is a rolling thermonuclear fireball, a constantly detonating atomic bomb. The hoplite Warmaker comes arrowing out of the sky at insane velocity, plummeting through the radiation and hellfire of its own engine burn. It's headed straight for the only navigational reference it has, the radio beacon on the fractured world below. Tan's old cache. "Oh, walls," Sami groans. The hoplite descends on its plume of disaster, blowtorches the cache site with its suicidal engine burn, and splatters into the rock. The cache homing signal squawks and goes out. Revision 11. The Hoplite. Sami sets the Surima down on a plain of flood basalt. Stone blood spewed up from within Kavaron That Is, then raked with glass dust by the endless catastratospheric storms. It trembles with quake. Fins of volcanic glass, napped into obsidian knives by the wind, stab into the sky. It is geological scar tissue. The volcanic rock makes the most incredibly satisfying crunch underfoot. Looking up, Sami imagines that the rows of volcanic clouds are city towers. So Thera's sunlight comes down through crevices of open sky to print glowing roads on the stone below. The clouds exchange cables of lightning. They set out for the cache. Tan bellies down on the ground occasionally to feel things out. He can feel the rovers driven by the KMN Memorial Team, maybe 15 kilometers away, headed the same way. "Tan," Sami says, "if the pilot of that ship's still alive, what will your people do to them?" "For firing a fusion engine in atmosphere, That's wake crime. They'll probably kill the pilot on the spot. There's not much law out here, Captain. Permanent state of emergency is the euphemism. We should not get involved. Not go herring off after a stray. Not put Tan at risk by getting near the people who exiled him from this world. We should take a look, Sami settles on. See if there's anything we can salvage. That's a hope light, Tan. A collector's item. I can't imagine any way this is a good idea. Well, I'm imaginative. Tan, still down on his belly, grabs 2 clawfuls of black volcanic soil. Captain, if they take me, there's not much law out here. I won't let them hurt you. I promise. Sami does keep promises. But I've got to know what's going on with that ship. It's weird, Tan. Why run from your own people? Why follow us through the ring, then crash ass first into the wrong side of the planet? Is the pilot a fool? And why does Sami feel a sliver of fear beating behind their heart? The fool is going to die of radiation poisoning, Tan says. They came down inside their own radioactive fireball. Not if we get to them soon enough. Captain, we have the answer to all our troubles back on the Surima. The Metal Man's artifact. We just need a stasis cask to lock it up, and we can give it to him. We can fix the ship. We can hire a crew. Don't go borrowing more trouble. That pilot needs help. Captain, this isn't the worm speaker. That's not Miri. Sami doesn't mean to be so sharp, but it comes out sharp. Are you asserting that you want to make a decision, Tan? Should I give you the choice? Tan slumps flat on the rock. No, Captain. That was too cruel. You can go ahead to the cache. Stay away from the KMN crew. I'll handle the Hoplite. No, Captain. I'll stay with you. The one decision he wants to make, and Sami can never manage to argue. The Hoplite blasted out a long oval crater, then planted itself like a seed in the molten rock at the far end. It only sank a little. The ship came in stern first, but it's the prow that is absolutely ruined. It's scrawled with deep black scars. Every weapon and sensor cut apart. The ship must have tumbled to avoid laser death, but the lasers still scored. Leave it to this fool to land a state-of-the-art fighter in solid radioactive glass, Tan snarls. We can't even pull the hull panels. He deploys his work claws and sets to cutting glass, while Sami tries to raise the fighter's Vi. Their armor's radiation alarm chatters briskly. Sami has the odd thought that this molten, fired rock is somehow a twin to Sigma's raw clay, but they can't apprehend the thought or make any sense of it. Are those really the same thing, Sami? Fusion torched glass and some nice pottery. Clay for the kiln, but the kiln is a ship hurtling out of the sky. The Hoplite's upper surface is mostly free of glass, which makes sense, as it wouldn't sink too deep into the molten rock. Hoplites are supposed to be light enough to float in water. Sami read that in Stormcutters, number 2987, which is the newest edition they've got, and if they've made the Hoplite heavier in the last 2 years, those Sunstar Knights really don't know what they got. Misses the whole point of the design. Oh, and there's a hard access point. Sami flips through a carabiner of interface adapters and plugins. Hello? I'm alive, a human voice says. Yes, and we want to keep you that way. They killed the Vi, the Free Company. They called it up and killed it. The last thing it did was give me manual control. It made me promise to apologize to anyone I cooked. I'm sorry, my hand. I'm bleeding. It's a 2-seat fighter. Is there anyone else in there with you? She's not here. What? I'm alone. We'll get you out. Can you open the cockpit? The hatch, the ladder. It won't answer. There should be a topside rescue hatch. You've got to be careful because the controls are probably near the ejection handle. Semiotic standard means the ejection handle will be a T-shape, and the rescue hatch will be a circular pull. Can you find that? Things are gray. Oh no. What's your name? Alpha Rael of... Just Alpha Rael. That's a Monoist name. In a Sunstar Free Company fighter. No wonder they were shooting at him. He's stolen the ship. Sami gestures urgently to Tan, miming,
Get back, get back.
Tan gestures with his work claws. You want me to stop now?
Yes, get back,
Sami gestures. There's no gesture to say,
he might take Sakaar and turn into a black hole.
Alpha Rael of just Alpha Rael, Sami calls. I'm Captain Sami, and my friend is Tannuk. We're gonna get you out. We'll get you all fixed up. You're going to live. My friend's cutting the cockpit open to get you out. You're going to live, understand?
Yes,
I want to live. Can you tell me, is anything bad going to happen if you die?
I won't go to paradise.
I won't. I have to live. You have to live, Alpha Rael. You have to live.
People keep telling me that, Alpha Rael says. But I don't know why.
You've got to live, or my friend here is going to think it was a complete waste of time coming after you.
A weak laugh. Okay. I can live for that.
Got it. Tan peels away a cell of cockpit panel. Underneath is a hole in the Hoplite's latticework, big enough for a person, not a Cav. Captain, you're going to have to wiggle your hips in there and do not move. Sami obeys the stranger's order, technically. Calling up 360-degree view on their armor isn't moving. The crater rim is lined with armed Cav. Most of their weapons aren't pointed at Sami, though. Tannuk, you have violated the terms of your exile. Stand up and show your stomach. Revision 11. Exile Tannuk. Tan is small for a Cav. That makes him a good pilot. Makes the sight of all those giant armored figures closing in on him harder somehow. If Sami has one principle, it's sympathy for the little one. Think fast, Sami. Look fast. The commander is a Subadar, a field soldier with experience handling off-worlders. The kind of Cav who knows Cymer and Pinnacle's laws. Sami knows Kavar pretty well and guesses her for a female or a core male. Honored Subadar, Sami sends in their very best Imperial Kafar. Disaster stampeded over us. We threw ourselves underfoot to help. The pilot can't run or fight. Help us pry him out of his death stupor. The radio shrieks and clips the volume limiters. Sami winces. Jammed. Message received. Shut up. Tannuk, the Subadar sends as her officers fan out behind her. By the break, you're Tannuk. These your buyers? You bring them here to loot your cash? No, Tannuk says, so relaxed his ankles tremble. He wants to be on his belly, but he stands tall. We just came for a stasis cask to hold something dangerous. Something you brought to Cavaron. Something you wanted to sell to this... The Subadar's crested helmet twitches to the downed hoplite. This wake criminal? We don't know this ship. It followed us down. You don't know them, but you rush to help them. I obey my captain. They want to help the pilot. Not in command. The Subadar's helmet swivels to Sami. This human is your captain. This human knows who you are. Sami has had enough of people talking about them. They take a slow breath and pop their helmet. The gunpowder and egg smell of Kavaron That Is rushes in. They sneeze. Their ears pop as the pressure drops sharply. Cavaron simply doesn't have as much air as it used to. They yawn and their ears make a crinkling, crackling noise. That's gonna hurt. Okay, they shout. Enough of the cover story, Tan. Tell them the truth. Tan doesn't move. Captain, is that wise? He knows exactly how to play along. Tannuk is under my protection, Sami calls. My name is Samael, of the covert cutter Sarima. We serve the monastery of the true faith at Susur Secundi, which you call Inuki. I am here to recover an agent who escaped the Free Company with information of terrible concern. Tell them, Alpha Rael. They kick the Hoplite's cockpit sharply. Yes, the Sunstar Free Company plans to destroy Sothera, Alpha Rael intones, to deny us our 1000th catenation with Point Prime. Balls, Sami blurts. This Alpha Rael has a wild imagination. He may be overplaying his story a little. The Subadar stares down at them. The hunched, rust-streaked armor of her Memorial Navy team blurs into the basalt around them, bristling with war drills and filament axes. They are as still as farmers hiding from the brushworm. Distant thunder crashes against the volcanic rock. Monoists, pirates, and wake criminals, the Subadar says. Tannuk, you keep suspicious company. I do, Tannuk lies, because that's how his captain decided the story would go. I do it for Cavaron. The Sunstar Free Company has to be stopped, or it means the end of everything. If you hurt him, Sami calls, Point Prime will know. They expect our signal. This mission is of the highest interest to the Faith. I caution you to let us go. If we vanish, their search will begin with you, Subadar. Not smart to threaten me, human. Solar Knights would be curious to know you're in custody. You hand us over to them, you'd help them destroy Sothera. A Kav chuckles. Now that is an artless camouflage. Then tell me why a Free Company ship shot down one of its own fighters. Tell me why my man Alpha Rael was forced to commit wake crime just so he could land. Why would anyone come to this dead place by choice? A quake rattles their teeth. You're asking a lot of questions for someone who's an accessory to wake crime. The Subadar's great helmet swivels. A long pause. You have my curiosity. Prove you're with the Monoists, and we will escort you to the strike town at Taro Duend. Excellent. We will detain you until Susur Secundi verifies your identity, the Subadar says, over Sami's relief. Tannuk will remain with us. He's under my protection. You get the wake criminal, we get Tannuk. I'm being more than fair. No, Sami snaps. Tannuk is my familiar. You think he committed a crime, I know. You think he put his hand on the traces of Fate's carriage, but he is beloved of Inevita, Alpha Rael says. Sovereign of his own will. Enough, the Subadar jabs one fist at Sami. The offer is rescinded. I need monastery ident. Now. The air fills with the buzz of Kav filament axes coming to life. The proof is in the cache, Sami says, gambling wildly. We came to retrieve a stasis cask. We needed to contain a damaged singularity bead on my ship. That bead is my link to Point Prime, the signal I'll use to send Alpha Rael's intelligence to the monasteriate. You understand? Bring us back to my ship, and I'll show it to you. Odds are the Subadar has never seen a singularity bead. Maybe heard of one during her education about the greater world. Will she take the strange stone for what it isn't? Maybe. You brought a trapped singularity down to Kavaron, the Subadar sends. Well, Sami says, it could hardly make things worse, could it? After a moment, the Subadar laughs. She looks to her left and to her right, and Sami is surprised to find that they can hear the other Kav soldiers laughing too. You imagine aliens wouldn't laugh, but the Kav evolved with a desperate need to signal contagious relief. All right, the Subadar sends. We'll get you a stasis cask for your singularity and take you all to Taro Duend. Sami exhales. The inhale afterward is sharp with the taste of metal. Radiation from the Hoplites drive. They reach for their helmet, fumble with the seals, finally getting it back on. Tannuk, the Subadar says. Did you ever find any old coins? Quios, staters, axe monies? Yes. I found an old Quios today. The Subadar produces from her armor a spindle of metal, like a Kav hornhair, with a pointed end and a snub end. She has no trouble handling it, even with her huge gauntlets. Call the flip then. Don't make me, Tannuk whispers. Don't make him do that, Sami shouts. They try to run for Tannuk, but two of the big KMN salvagers are in the way, and wider than the walls. Sami tries the handstance on them, grab and squirm, but it's like wrestling boulders. Call the flip. Point or notch. It wasn't like this when I chose, Tannuk says. I knew what I was doing. I just chose wrong. Choose right this time. I won't call it, Tannuk says as the Subadar pinches one end of the old quill-shaped coin and tosses it. Volcanic wind sifts glass dust over the broken plains. The coin tumbles like a quill from a blackbird. Tannuk is silent. "Point!" Sami screams. The coin lands on the rock, spins round its center like a clock face, catches the wind, spins again, checks up against the stone. It's point facing the Subadar. "Point," the Subadar says. "More chance than you gave your victims, Tannuk." The Kav pull the stasis cask out of Tan's old cache, and Alpha Rael out of the downed Hope Light. Then, like they are playing a children's adventure game, they combine the two items they've found. Alpha Rael is bleeding pretty badly, so the Kav shove him into the stasis cask and turn it on. Sami doesn't get to see Alpha Rael, or the cache. Tan says it just looks like a big, buried balloon full of inert gas. You have to wear a breathing mask to sleep inside, so the KMN teams call them rotors for run outside, tear off respirator, because that's what you want to do when you wake up. They sound kind of like the inspection sheds. Tannuk makes a noise of incomprehension. "Where you found me back on Sigma? After I passed out?" "Big soft sack." Tannuk stares at Sami with an indecipherable Kav expression. "Oh, passed out, yeah, in the big soft sack." "Tan, are you okay?" He doesn't answer. A Jemadar, a lower rank than Subadar, but of the same form, KMN troops trained to work with offworlders, leads them to one of the flimsy balloon-wheeled ELVs, exo-atmospheric lob vehicles, rovers cut down to the bare minimum so they can be flown between Kavaron Before and Kavaron That Is on laser-boosted spaceplanes. The stasis cask, not much bigger than a washing machine, makes the whole frame of the lead ELV kneel under its weight. They drive for the Surima. The weather is clear. Light glass fog chimes against their armor. The driver of the ELV puts on really loud music and roars happily along. A tornado touches down to the east, seeking out a node of warmth to fuel its growth. The Surima crouches on a sheet of rock blasted clean by her arc jets. The Jemadar riding beside them says, "If your ship has weapons, we'll use the guns, understand?" The guns of Cavaron, its orbital boost lasers, can be bounced off mirrors to strike ground targets. Sami suspects it's a bluff. It would be a minor miracle if they can reach anything on radio, never mind an aerial mirror. But the Surima has no weapons, so it's a moot point. Sami drops the ramp. The Kav haul the stasis cask up into the cargo bay and park it next to the hot cell containing the weird rock from Sigma. "Show us your singularity bead," the Subadar demands. "Prove you're a monoist agent." "And then?" "Then you'll fly us all to Taro Duend. There's an airport. We'll commandeer a plane to Kavaron Before to remand you to Imperial authority. After that, you're no longer my responsibility." "Ah, yes, can we, Sami had inspected the hot cell for any sign of weirdness during the long flight from Sigma. It didn't emit so much as a spare neutrino. But opening it up again feels like it will release the embryo of dread behind their breastbone. They massage their sternum through their armor and experience a moment of utterly uncharacteristic wordlessness. "Stop stalling," says the Subadar. "We'll need to put the singularity bead in the cask with Alpha Rael. He deserves a chance to take Sakaar if he's going to bleed to death." "It's a stasis cask. He won't bleed." If the Metal Man's artifact actually were a singularity bead, Sami guesses there might be trouble putting it in stasis. A stasis cask is engineered space-time, and so is the bead, and if you put them together, perhaps they would have a fight, or make love, or otherwise get excited. But it's not a singularity bead. It's something. Sami is worried about jamming the stone in there with a living human. "I'll prepare the bead for transfer," they say. "Tannuk, would you get the stasis?" Tannuk will get out of his armor and kneel. The Kav speak by shortwave radio, so all Sami can hear is the coded drawl of their voices filtered through alloy. Tannuk kneels miserably, looking pointedly away from the hot cell. Sami has to get this exactly right, and then, somehow, get them free to fly before they're taken off the ship. One step at a time. "Pry bar," they request. Instead, a Kav in risk armor pulls the hot cell open. The Metal Man's artifact lies there, in the dark,
in a wasp's nest of congealed shear starch. Cov lamps illuminate it. It looks like a spitball. There is no sign of bent light or spontaneous motion. "This is your proof," the Subadar radios. "It looks like a dropping." "I had to keep it from rupturing. I used what I had." Sami has no idea what will happen now. "Open the stasis cask, please. I'll have Alpha Rael move the singularity bead in with him." "Why?" "I won't let an unbeliever handle the sacred instrument. Please, Subadar, work with me." The cask is Pinnacle-made, not Cov-Tech, complete with blue finish and a happy little VI that reports all systems functional, and a stasis ratio of 1 in 310 billion. In 10 years, a bit more than a second will pass inside the cask. Sami can't see Alpha Rael, because the stasis field has a mirror finish, to prevent 10 years' worth of light building up and baking whatever's inside in a single second. All Sami sees is their own funhouse reflection, pale-haired and in need of some new makeup. Still running the scam. You got it, Sami. The Subadar works the cask's controls. The stasis field vanishes. Sami peers inside. He kneels in the cask. He is young and pretty. Not Sami's type, but a type, with dark-lined eyes, a worried mouth, and a shock of pale hair. He has a surprising amount of flesh on his face for a nothing worshipper. "We're gonna move the damaged singularity bead in with you," Sami informs him. "So you have it with you if you need to take Sakaar. Understand?" Alpha Rael mouths at them. "What are you doing?" "Please," Sami says calmly. "We'll keep you safely in stasis until we can sort this out with the Imperial government. But you should take the bead." Alpha Rael squirms out of the cask, cupping his bleeding stump to his chest. His garb is black, sculpted out of dark scalloped material. Could it be alabile? The alloy of moments? No, surely not. There's a coat or cape over the undersuit, but it has wrapped itself, like bandages, around his body. He's wet. White plaster or powder spatters him. What has he been up to? Why is he really here? If only Sami could ask. Alpha Rael looks around at the looming Cov, at Tannuk under the Subadar's weapons. "I've never been to Kavaron before," he says. "I thought it was a museum of wonders." "All of Cov culture, waiting to be rescued into space." "That's the other Kavaron," the Subadar sends. "This is Kavaron That Is. Here we shoot trespassers. Move the object before you bleed to death." Alpha Rael stumbles towards the open hot cell. Its garish cross-species caution symbols read like a buffet menu at a poison garden. Alpha Rael's blood spots the deck. He's having trouble navigating the grid of connectors and tie-downs, and Sami steps on the urge to reach out and help him. "Are you going to let us go?" Alpha Rael asks. "If you are who you say you are, I'm going to give you to my government. But if the monastery has no idea who you are, then you'll be cash robbers and accomplices to a vile criminal. And you'll wish I beheaded you here." "I want to live," Alpha Rael says, and stumbles into the hot cell. "Be careful," Sami calls. Ideally, they would have rigged some kind of touchless transfer through a tube. If only there weren't all these KMN goons stomping on the poor Sarima. "I've got it," Alpha Rael calls. "It's all slimy. That's sheer starch. Leave it be. It's heavier than it looks." "Oh. No, it's getting lighter." "Alpha Rael," Sami calls. "Come out and get back in the stasis cask." Alpha Rael emerges. He's holding the weird stone in his hand. It glistens brightly, delightedly. The shear starch falls in scabs. It's falling upward. His feet aren't touching the deck anymore. Sami's armor grinds out an alert. "Stop! Hold there!" Alpha Rael is floating. No, not floating. Falling still. He's not going anywhere. The tails of his garment drift loose like jellyfish tentacles. He's free-falling down the path of least effort, through an impossible space. The Subadar says, "Enough! Kill them!" Alpha Rael drifts towards the roof of the hold. "Raphella!" he screams. "I want to die. I want to go with the others. Send me to the Dawn Sire. Oh, Zagaquire, I'm sorry.
Oh shit, oh no, I don't want to die, I want to live! Let me go, wet rat! Let me go, Captain Slats! Let me go! Oh, Faller, I'm out, I made it, no, stop, no, you let me go, stop, down, get me down, I can't go back, I want to live, don't send me back, I'm warning you! Sami runs for Tannuk. The Subadar groans. All the Kav groan. It is a low, animal sound of anguish. Their armor twists and shudders because the bodies within are twisting and shuddering. Alpha Rael's voice changes. Inevita, begin in me thy ending. Chart my winds so I may blow like a shroud. Shrive me. Make me fringent to the narrowing course of thy heart. Pare me from fate's gore. Let me begin with thee, even and event. O Inevita, draw me down. Crush my hands and flatten my feet, so I may pass only on the flat way of thy preparation. How perfect, how final you are. Brush me with the omens of thy coming. Eat me with the teeth of thy throat. Inevita, my fate and love. O Inevita, I see thy hip, I see thy shoulder, I see thy empty face. Inevita, shear me. Alpha Rael needs a hand. I am not a god. Though I was fashioned for the use of one, I have limits. There is only one ultimate future, inevitable and converging. What is done, and in the end it will all come to one end. Looking forward, we see a great infalling pyramid, worldliness converging to the Omega. But the past is fluid. There are many ways to reach the present. Looking backward, we see possibility. Allow me to quote the greats. The usual fallacy is that, in every universe, many futures splay outward from any given moment. But in some universes, determinism runs backward. Given a universe's state S at some time, T, there are multiple previous states that may have resulted in S. In some universes, all possible paths funnel towards a single fixed ending, Omega. If you are of millenarial bent, you might call Omega Armageddon. If you are of grammatical bent, you might call it punctuation on a cosmological scale. If you are a philosopher in such a universe, you might call Omega inevitable. There are many ways to get to one place. I cannot change that place, but I can change the way it was arrived at. I need a wielder who offers me a library of moments to alter. I need a moment vulnerable to influence. Complexity stymies me. The nature of the universe compels me to self-consistency. I cannot leave loose ends. All my alterations must be explained, by chance if nothing else avails. But now and again, when circumstances are right, I allow myself a miracle.